Is the Emperor actually healing? The other day, the 10th edition core rulebook was leaked online, and there was an image in there that appears to show the Emperor regaining flesh on his face, and a lot of people have assumed that this is indeed the Emperor returning. It's going to be a big lore point going forward, probably not in 10th edition, 11th, 12th, etc, etc, etc. Even Mr. Blanche himself, the person who created this artwork, has commented on this. And we're going to explore this in the video. We're going to talk it from both sides, look at the artworks, and just waffle about it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Now, the images that are causing so much conversation are some of the most iconic Warhammer 40,000 images you'll ever see by, well, for me anyway, the most iconic Warhammer 40,000 artist, Mr. John Blanche himself. Now, I'm going to put the first one up in the background, and it's the Emperor who's interred upon the Golden Throne. You can see his skeletal face because he's trapped between life and death. You can see the pipes, you can see his little red eye and stuff. This is taken straight from the 8th edition core rulebook, but it's an iconic piece. This goes all the way back to the very, very beginnings of Warhammer 40,000. And that's why it's such an iconic piece, because John Blanche was one of the main artists back then, and he was creating these masterpieces for the 40k IP. Now, what's happened over the past 24 hours is that the core rulebook for 10th edition has been leaked online. It's over on Warhammer Competitive. You can go and see the thread yourself. People are talking rules and all the other mad stuff that connected with it. But one of the main things that's in that is this Emperor's image, but it's different to the skull one. I'm going to put it up in the background right now so you can see it. And you can see that the skull has gone from a skull to an actual face. And a lot of people have been theorizing, well, this must mean the Emperor is slowly returning. The new forces in the galaxy, the Primarchs coming back. Maybe there's something to do with that. But look, the Emperor is growing his face back, which means he must be healing on the Golden Throne, which means that one day he'll be fully healed. He can come back, he can lead the Imperium, bring all the Primarchs back, launch more crusades, and win this war against chaos. Now, as much as I would love that to be a thing, and we will talk about the Emperor healing in the latter part of the video, these two artworks are the same. They were both made by John Blanche a long time ago, and it's literally just different versions of this. That's not to say the Emperor's actually healing. Now, if you look at the 9th edition rulebook, I put the video up in the background. My mate Jeff, thanks Jeff for sending me this. That literally is the same artwork that people are discussing in 10th edition, saying the Emperor's slowly healing. Now, potentially, the Emperor could be healing. Maybe Games Workshop are making a point putting the skeleton Emperor on the throne to this newly fleshed Emperor, even though they're the same artwork, they were done at the same time, right? But adding this one instead of the bony one going forward to make topics like this, to inspire discussions between the fans. Like, why has Games Workshop changed him from a bag of bones to, you know, like a bag of flesh? It could be down to artist interpretation, right? It just could be for the rule of bloody cool, as most Warhammer 40,000 things are. Now, we even have Mr. Blanche himself stepping in and talking about this. This was found by a Discord member, Halo Zoro, massive shout out to him. This was posted over on a Facebook group, and Mr. Blanche says, I added colour and worked on the face more. These were the days before IP, so art was in an interpretation and not an exact science. However, how do you know it's the Emperor and not an illusion? Perhaps the whole piece is just a pictorial metaphor. The real Emperor is a shattered body kept in some sort of stasis in a tank of fluids, served by the Mechanicus scientists. Basically, imperial propaganda that the Emperor is sat here in defiance, connected to all these pipes, and, you know, he's leading the Imperium. It wouldn't, you know, that is the most Imperium thing to do, to have this type of propaganda. And as Mr. Blanche says, he's just like a tub of fluid. swimming around like jello, like in a fridge, right? Ready to be hardened in there. So yeah, it's all up to interpretation. Do you think the Emperor's healing? Do I think the Emperor's healing? What I personally think, with what's going on forward now in the 40k lore, there's a lot of shadow stuff at play. I truly believe the Emperor wants to die. I think the Emperor's building up his power to get to a certain point where he can face the Chaos Gods in the warp. This is why we've had certain stories involving Cypher and other big characters about the Emperor talking to these beings when they're about to do a certain act. I'm not going to talk what that act is in this because that would ruin the full plot point of that book, but there's definitely something happening with the Emperor going forward in the narrative, fighting the Chaos Gods. It's all about faith. It's all about power. It's all in the shadows, let's say, but there's some absolutely huge things I think Games Workshop has planned. Not to mention this whole this whole other story with Pandemonium, Denabnet, the King in Yellow, Annuncia, Words of Power. There's so much bloody stuff that is happening, and I think we've only seen the tip of this imperial iceberg. One more thing before I leave the video and let you chaps decide what the hell is going on. If the Emperor did come back in the current setting, I see that as the end of Warhammer 40,000. The Emperor is this being of power unimaginable. He will defeat every single thing in this universe. I'm sure there's some Xenos players out there who will disagree, you know, Orc, Tyranid, Necron players. The Silent King would be the Emperor. For me, the Emperor is the end game. Having him back is like a complete different game, different setting. Maybe they will one day blow up the universe just like they did with Warhammer Fantasy and call it, you know, Age of the Emperor or something stupid, something insane like that. But until then, for me, I think the Emperor is got to take his place on the Golden Throne. Yeah, maybe he's healing a little bit, but it's going to take tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of years to see any type of movement from the Emperor going forward. I think the story I'm going with is that he wants to be put into the warp and consume the warp with the power of the faith. That's the way I'm looking at going forward. Anyway, enough waffling from me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you've got any thoughts, theories, anything like that, post it down below and we can have a nice little chin wag down there as we always do. See ya. Have a great day and bye-bye.